Hello everyone, this is Lincolnus Prime, and today we're taking a look at the Transformers Combiner Wars Leader Class Ultra Magnus. And before we look at the figure, as usual, we'll be taking a quick look at the packaging. So basically on the front we have the open window where the figure was at the front. You do get a collector's card on the inside, which I did not take out yet, but you do get a really cool looking artwork of Ultra Magnus right there. Combiner Wars, Ultra Magnus, Autobot logo, Hasbro, Transformers, the Generations logo, the kind of asteroid Generations logo that we used to get with the Generations figures. On the back we do get the promo shots of Ultra Magnus, and you can read this bio if you want to. And then we also do get a picture of him in vehicle mode and Minimus Ambus, which I will get to this part in a bit because this one gave me a little bit of trouble, so I'll explain that in a bit. Side we do get the Autobot Asteroid, and then on the other side we do get Transformers Combiner Wars with Magnus and Minimus Ambus. On the top we don't really get any, sorry, on the bottom we don't really get anything else, so that is pretty much it for the box. And moving right along, here we have the Leader Class Ultra Magnus fully transformed and out of the box, and I do have to say, one of the aspects about this figure I've missed for a really long time when it comes to Ultra Magnus figures is the car carrier feature, because we don't get that anymore with in terms of some of the newer figures that we got in like the Siege Ultra Magnus or the Earthrise Magnus. And I know that Hasbro was probably trying to work on a car carrier mode for the Earth mode Magnus, but because of the budgeting and all that kind of stuff, it did not work out very well. But with this, we do get the car carrier feature, which makes me kind of really enjoy this figure a lot more than Siege and Earthrise. You can fight me over that, I don't care. I just love this version. I love anything Ultra Magnus that turns into a car carrier. That's just me. But it's a really nice rendition of the character. Now, I do understand when it comes to Combiner Wars, they did try to go with a lot more of an IDW type look, essentially, to certain figures and characters, so I'm pretty sure this does represent kind of like early IDW Magnus, and I think it works out really well. Now, moving to the Minimus Ambus figure, like I was mentioning before, but this figure did come defective. He does have two right arms. If you're noticing that this arm does not match up with this one, and when I was trying to transform him when I first got him, I looked at the arm and I noticed the peg wasn't lining up, so I looked at both of them and I realized. That's another problem. The arm likes to fall off a lot, but I realized that it can't tab in, and then I looked closer and I was like, oh, my copy came with two right arms. So it's not a huge deal. It still works mostly. You just can't tab it in to the side of the back when you transform him into vehicle mode. But he does look pretty well in vehicle mode, just doesn't go together as well, especially this doesn't make it any better. But transformation, all you gotta do is take the legs, flip them out, kind of like so, and then take this section right here, or take the arms first, untab them, or in this case just this arm because this one can't tab in, and then just accordion this section down like so, and there we have Minimus Ambus in his little robot mode, and it does look really good actually. There's a lot of nice molded and painted detail on this figure, and I think he works for like a just a tiny little mini figure. The face kind of moving in on that, the face does look pretty nice, especially with those two different shades of green, like kind of for the what looks like his goatee, I guess, I don't know. The eyes being painted red as well. I think that's very impressive on Hasbro's end, and especially the two shades of green on the neck, or like the collar, the chest, especially right here on the shins, and then the black for like the windshields, and the Autobot symbol, and the other black for the sides of the windows. But sculpt and paint detail, not too bad for this figure. But anyways, let us get to the main event, which is the Leader Class Ultra Magnus, and this thing is so cool to me. Like, because I have the G1 Magnus, like the original G1 Magnus, but I think this one works just as more of a modern take, but also with more articulation. Now, he is kind of scaled down a bit in terms of the trailer, and for example, the G1 Magnus used to be able to hold A little more than at least 4 cars, at least 4 cars. But this one, because this trailer is a little bit more squished, he can only really hold 2 or 2.5, so like a smaller vehicle. So I got these 2 Combiner Wars figures right here, so you can hold one at the top, and you can hold one on the inside, just like so. Well, take this off, sorry. You can hold him in there, so he can carry around 2 cars. And honestly, I will take this over something that can't hold the cars in general. So honestly, with having this feature, I really do enjoy that, and that ability to basically have him carry at least some form of vehicles. But I'm really happy with that. Just move these out. I did put those in incorrectly though. You do have this feature right here on the back, where you can just take these sections, fold them down like so, and you could just slide a vehicle in to, well, actually, let me do prowl, sorry. Slide them in like so, and just close that up. And then there is another thing you can do where you can take these sections right here and then untab them, and then move the arms down like so. And then you could basically just slide the figure up onto this, and then just rotate that up, tab it in, and then you just slide the other figure in. So, you know, you have options, which is cool. Let me get that tab in again, like so. And just move that up. And there. But yeah, so you have options. And that's what I really like about this figure. Now, one thing to mention about this, I did own this figure before, but I bought it at a store that mostly, they sell a lot of, like, you know, used stuff. So when I bought him, he was used, he didn't have a box, and he was missing all of his weapons, including Minimus Ambus and 1 tire. So I had him for a year. I absolutely loved him, but I wanted a complete version. So later on, I did end up selling him, and then a few days ago, I actually bought this on Saturday. I found him, and I was like, holy crap. And I found him for a really good deal too. He was only $30, complete in the box. Never opened before, so I was like, you know what, this is a huge win. It's $30, it's $20 less than what it used to be in 2015. I'm definitely going for this, and honestly, $30, highly worth it. Now, I don't know if you can really find this online for that price. If you can, definitely go for it. I mean, in my opinion, it's worth at least $45, if not $30. I don't know. I don't think it's worth $50, but it's definitely a really good figure to have. But he does have accessories as well, like I said. So you get these 2 guns on the sides. Don't want to untap that. There we go. You do get these 2 guns right here. And I don't necessarily remember him having these kinds of weapons. I do know that they reuse them for the Power Master Prime, because I do have that mold as well. But, I mean, they look really cool, honestly. I think these work better for Power Master Prime in general, which I'm glad they reused them for that mold. But they do have these kind of 3mm ports, so you can kind of port these together like so. You have storage options. I mean, there's really no other way to store them in vehicle mode besides just using these kind of back 2 ports, or if you want to kind of make it look a little more interesting, you take these sections off and basically just port these in at the front. But I don't really like that look. So, but you do have, you know, like I said, again, options. But, you know, sculpt-wise, these are really nice looking. And then he does come with his 2 shoulder cannons, or basically front side truck cannons, or whatever, I don't know. But they are painted in this really nice glossy red. The sculpt work is also pretty nice on these as well. So when it comes to weapons, I mean, he has a basic layout, but I mean, still pretty good for what it is. At least it's not nothing. But anyways, let us move on to the transformation. So basically what we're going to do first is we're going to start off right here at the side. So untab these and then bring the arms up like so, just to get them out of the way. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take these red sections right here, untab them like so, bring them out, flip them forward like so and like so, and then just basically untab the legs, but not entirely, because we have to take this section right here and kind of just push it out like so. Just kind of really get at this section right here. Come on. There. And then just kind of fold that forward. It does feel a bit messy at first, but trust me, it's a really smooth transformation. So take the legs, move them down like so. They're on really nice ratchety joints. Do that on the other side, and then kind of just line them. So there we go. And then basically take the foot, bring it out right here. It is double jointed, so kind of bring that out. Take this section, untab it, rotate this up. This one does like to fight me a bit, so just try to do your best to align this, and then kind of, you have to make sure that it clicks. 1 second. Okay, so after minutes of struggling, I was finally able to get this tabbed in. So when it's not tabbed in, or when it's not past the clip, it's not going to tab into this. So make sure you hear this click into place when you get it, basically put in there. So finally, with that out of the way, all you got to do is take this section. There's a tab, like right here, and there's a slot. There's a tab and a slot. Sorry, and then just rearrange the foot right here. So just swing that forward like so. Do the same thing on the other side. Now you can be able to see this because this does want to work on me. Take this section, untab it, rotate it up. Hear that click. Once you hear it clicks, you know it's in place. There's a tab right in here that'll go like so. Take this red section, rotate it around, and there's a tab right here and a slot right here. Or no, you don't want to do that yet. Take the foot, flip it out first, and then take that, rotate it around, tab that in. So there we go. So then take this section, flip it forward, tab it in, align the foot. So there we have the legs all done. I'm going to take this section and just take my camera, slide that up. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do up here is we're going to take all of this, basically kind of line it up, split this section down, just bring it down, take these, flip them down, tab them in to place like so. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take this section and untab it, tabs right here, and then 2 slots right here, and then rotate it around like so. Take this section, slide it down, it'll lock into place, and then bring that down. And then take all of this, bring it down like so. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take the chest, open it up like so, take the head, flip it up, there's this little back section, just flip that down, close the chest like so. You want to make sure that the Autobot logo is overlapping on that, so this door closes last. Now take this chest, flip it up. Now for the arms, so what we're going to do for the arms is we're going to take these sections and push them up like so, and then make sure you hear them click into place, and then take this section right here and then fold it up like so. Doesn't really tab in, it just kind of sits there. And then do the same thing on the other side. So take this, push it up, tab it in, make sure everything's aligned. Take this, bring that up, tab it in. So we're almost done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these sections right here. There's ports right here on the sides of the shoulders. Tab that in, make sure it's in there properly, and then do the same thing on the other side like so, and make sure everything is aligned properly. There. And finally, here we have the Combiner Wars Leader Class Ultra Magnus in his robot mode, if I can get him to stand properly. And there we go. And he looks really cool. I really like this figure. Even though I struggled immensely trying to get him into robot mode, I think the final product is definitely worth it. I really enjoy the build and the physique of this figure. A lot of the detail is really, really nice looking, mainly with especially the chest and the arms and all that kind of stuff. The big beefy legs, I feel like that's pretty much how Magnus should be. But you know, in terms of like just the overall silhouette of this figure, I think this is really, really nice. But basically, kind of going over some parts. So, like the head, you do get the basic kind of Ultra Magnus head sculpt with the giant yellow antennas. The face is painted in this really nice silver, and you do get a really nice metallic light blue for the eyes, which looks really good. I do like the way the chest is sculpted as well, with like these silver kind of cannons right here on the sides, especially the kind of red right here and all that kind of stuff, kind of moving down to the legs. But I really do like the physique of this figure, and he cleans up fairly well too. I mean, there's not really a lot of, I mean, he has a backpack, but it's not like, you know, it's a G1-y backpack, so it doesn't really kind of affect the overall build of the figure. But you do get a lot of hollow bits on the back, but you're not really going to be displaying him from the back, you're going to be displaying him from the front. But overall, just like a really nice rendition of the character, in my opinion, especially after this figure has existed for like 5 years. So when it comes to just all the details and the overall design of this figure, I think Hasbro did a really good job. Now, one cool feature about this figure is, I'm pretty sure comic accurate to the IDW comics, but you have Minimus Ambus right here. So what you're able to do is you take this section right here, you flip it forward, take the chest, open it up like so, and like so. And then you're just going to take him, kind of put him in a sitting position, and then basically just kind of shove him in there. You have to kind of put him in head first. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to see. Head first, there's like a little hole in the neck, but you can't really lift it up that much. So you have to kind of wiggle his way in there, which is a bit kind of hard to do on camera. So you just kind of push him in there, and then there's little pegs for the hands to go into. So you kind of just like peg them in. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard for me to do on camera. Kind of just peg those in like so and like so. And then basically just take the legs, kind of keep them split, and then just kind of bend the knees like so and like so. And you can have Minimus Ambus kind of sitting inside. And honestly, that looks kind of silly. It kind of reminds me of this picture of Colonel Sanders, where everyone thinks that the bow tie kind of makes it look like he has a tiny body. But, you know, it's a feature that you can do, and I'm pretty sure that's accurate to the comics, where I think, I guess Ultra Magnus was dead, and you had this Minimus Ambus character basically piloting him like a Gundam. So, I mean, it's a feature. It's something you can do. I think it's weird, but, you know, a lot of things in Transformers are weird, which is why I love Transformers. But, you know, it's something you could do. So that's cool. But let's go over articulation. So basically, on the head, we do have not really a kind of a ball joint. You can kind of move his head around a bit. It can swivel side to side. Can't really go all the way back, though. It can kind of look up and down as well. The arms can rotate all the way around like so. They can move out. You kind of have to move these sections out of the way, but they can move out all the way unless you take these off as well. There is a swivel at the bicep, and then you do have a 90-degree elbow bend. But the wrists don't swivel, but you do have a opening set of fingers, which I will get into later. And it's the same thing on the other arm. And then with the legs, they can kick forward this much and back not too much. In fact, that's about as far back as you can make the legs go. They can do the full splits, mostly. Yeah, they can do the full splits as well. And then you do have a swivel at the thigh joint right here, and a 90-degree knee bend, like so. And obviously the foot, like I have showed before, does move, but it does not pivot, which makes it a little harder to kind of get this figure into some more dynamic looking poses. And he does not have a waist swivel, and I know Jobby would probably be pissed at that. But overall, articulation, it works mostly decently. But like I said as well, that's one thing. This figure, for some reason, doesn't want to stand on me. But anyway, so you do have the guns as well. you do have these handles, and like I said before, you take the hands, you open them up, and then you just slide them in, but you have to align them a certain way. So you kind of close them around, and it works sometimes unless you shake the figure a lot and then the guns just kind of fall out of his hands. But it works mostly. Yeah, I mean, if you shake him like vigorously, then the guns are gonna fall out of the hands. But you know, he looks cool with the guns. They're not entirely G1 accurate. They might be IDW accurate. I'm not too sure about that. And as I'm trying to pose them, they're trying to fight me here. Everything is harder on camera, isn't it? Okay. But you can do it. It's doable. There he is with his guns. Now, one cool thing that you can do as well is you have the guns and you have these side sections on the shoulders as well. What you can do is you can take these two guns, basically just plug them together like so, and then just kind of align it, and then take these sections. You can kind of angle these however you want. I kind of like doing like this kind of where the missile parts are kind of facing backwards. I kind of like that look a bit better. But some people do like to turn them upside down to where these are pointing downwards, but I just prefer this better. And then just take the hand, you have these little kind of slits right here, and you can do it for both. I like doing it right here at the base, and then you just take the hands, open them up, and then basically there is a little slot right here that will slide directly into that little kind of track, essentially. Then you just close the fists around it, and he has a hammer. And I love that. I absolutely love the hammer feature. It kind of reminds me of the more Transformers Prime aesthetic with the Forge of Solus Prime. I don't know if that's what this is. I'm pretty sure it's not, because, you know, it's literally just parts that attach to them. But it's a thing you could do, and I really like that. Now, a lot of people do complain that it just doesn't look too well, and honestly I could kind of see that, like, in terms of the way he holds it, and it doesn't really stay in there sturdy. Like, it'll stay in his hand like just fine, but it won't fall out or anything. But it does like to spin a lot, because that is a full rotational area, so I can see how that can get annoying. And another thing you can't really do is like have him hold it with two hands, because there's no wrist swivel. So, you know, that's kind of a disappointment, but it's not the biggest deal in my opinion. But you know, I think it looks good. I really think the hammer feature was a pretty good idea. But yeah, so there you have Ultra Magnus with his hammer. Now for a quick comparison, here we have the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus next to the Netflix Earthrise Optimus Prime. Here we have next to a Bandai Vinyl late Showa era Godzilla, which I will be reviewing pretty soon. And finally, a basic high-grade Gundam. And for my final comments on this figure, even though I had a really stressful time trying to review this, it's still a really good figure, and I think it really holds up to this day. A lot of the problems that it was giving me on camera, it hasn't really given me those problems before, so it might just be one of those cases of reviewers' bad luck. But you know, it's overall a really good figure. It is one of my favorite Ultra Magnus figures to date, even though it's, you know, 5 years old. But I think this will always be superior to like the Siege and the Earthrise Magnuses. Even though those are decent figures, you don't have that, you know, kind of parts forming element, which is fine for a Magnus figure, but I think in this case, without the parts forming, you know, because everything is in one piece, the only thing you really have to, you know, add on is like the weapons and all that kind of stuff. But I think that just makes it a lot more simple and a lot more easier to kind of manage, so you don't have parts just everywhere and like losing something. But you know, it stays together in one piece. It's solid, and honestly, it's pretty big too. I mean, I really do miss the days of Transformers where leader class figures were freaking huge, and not like, you know, what we have now, you know, with a lot more, you know, smaller leader class figures. And it's probably just due to budget and cost, and maybe even plastic shortages, who knows. But overall, I think this was a really good figure for its time, especially back in 2015. But if you can find him, definitely pick him up. I would highly suggest getting him. It maybe for at least $30. I don't think he's really worth the $50. I mean, if you can find him for $50, then definitely still go for it. But I don't know. I think 30, 45. That's a decent price around that. But anyways, guys, that is about it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.